Hello there everyone, this is Mark 3 and welcome to, I guess a pilot episode? Mainly because I'm going to try and feel this one out and not quite sure what my approach is going to be. But, yes, welcome to Transport Fever 2. I did mention a little while back that I was thinking of doing some more transport/industry/logistic style games because Dyson's Sphere program has been treating me pretty well, all told. So I thought I'd dive into this one for some Transport Fever 2. And just for the hell of it, I'm going to be playing for the achievement which is use only trains to reach the year 2050. And considering the game start is in 1850, that's like 200 years. Trains only. Though, because I'm pretty much a rookie at this game, there's nothing really spectacular to note, except the fact that I'm playing on easy. I know, silly of me, but yeah, I'm on easy mode just because I don't really know any better, and I've not really done much more than poke around this game and figure out how I want to try and start. So, let's go ahead and load up our map. Which is right at the start, it's just that I pre-generated it before starting the recording, so that's why it's saved as YouTube save. Totally original, I know. Alright, here we are. Here we are in our chosen world. It's easy as I mentioned, but we're also playing on the default terrain, so lush vegetation everywhere. It's a large map, but everything else is left on medium, so towns, industries, ratio of water, ratio of hills, all average, except for forests, which I cranked up slightly because I liked the appearance of tracks that cut through forests. So that's the only reason I've increased the forest a little bit. But there's still plenty of open terrain here. Things to keep in mind though on a Trains Only Run. Trains Only Run basically rolls it back to the original Transport Fever, which was purely trains. So it forgoes road vehicles, it forgoes ships, and it forgoes the aircraft, which eventually unlock. I don't know when that happens, it's just it's greyed out right now. And it could also means I need to be a bit more careful with how I do things as well. I've not really explored this map much, so I'm looking around trying to find a starting resource route. There is a steel mill there. It's not near anything though. Do I want to put a bridge over that way? Is there something I can use? There is. That could go to there, that could go to there, so there is an alternate thing. So, I'm looking around for things that I'm trying to find something that's local, really close to each other. That looks like a pretty decent route there, actually. Yeah, let's go with this one. I'm looking for it in mind with the kinds of transport carriages, because certain kinds of carriages can transport certain kinds of cargoes, and ideally starting out I want to make sure that it's loaded as much as physically possible as it moves back and forth. Terrain looks good. Not much by way of slopes. There's a little bit of a bump here, but I can circumvent that and get to this one over here. And then this one is a bit of a climb to get to it, so I'll have to build something there. And then it just goes back to there. So yeah, this will work. Admittedly, I am connecting two steel mills to both the resources, and that can cause issues, but there is a way around that. So let's go ahead and get started with trains. Let's see. Buildings. I want to have a terminus station, which means that the station is on the end. The train comes and goes as you do. Spin it around, and it's got to be within range, so it'll highlight buildings that are within reach of a station when it connects to a road. So that's too far away. If I pull it a bit closer, it can reach. But the thing is, you also get paid by distance as well, and that is both a good and a bad thing. It's good because, hey, more money. It's bad because, remember, we are in 1850. We don't have much options here. We've got a single train and that's it. That's connecting just fine, so I'll do that one there. Oops. And I've just done something I keep doing. I kept doing this during my initial run as well, which is I accidentally built the passenger station rather than the cargo station. Whoops. Luckily, it can just like retake a station. So if I had already assigned lines and things, I could demolish and rebuild and it would work properly. There we go. Luckily, this game is actually a lot more forgiving of lines being irregular. In Transport Fever 1, you basically had to get your line running like every 5 minutes or so before people would even use it. This game, it doesn't really... This game is... yeah, words. This game is a lot more forgiving, and the routes are used a lot more consistently, and a lot less painfully. So I can have trains running like every 20 or 30 minutes if I so choose. It's just... got to bear in mind, this is my starting income. The trains will earn money if I go long distance. It's just, it will take ages to do so and be very slow. So that's why I'm building something kind of local like this. Anyway, let's have a look-see. I want to keep the gradients here under control. So I've got to click and drag each section. And this is one of the things that Transport Fever has always been really good at. It's just like, it does some very, very nice looking work on... That's level, okay, so let's run it this way. It does very nice looking work on how things look. But yeah, just have to find a way to map all this stuff down into all the gradients. And I think I'll skip this a little bit as well for the video, because my only other real note is I am trying to make sure that I keep the gradient decent, so I'm spacing it out along these contour lines to try and make it as shallow as possible, because gotta remember, very early, very weak engines, well, very weak engine, I get one. Oh, I'm playing with the European vehicle settings, by the way, and so little things like horsepower and stuff like that are kind of not really existing at the moment. So yeah, I want to avoid steep track as much as physically possible, which is why I was looking at terrain before I started laying out track. So, speaking of, let's have a look-see. Contour line. If I follow the road, I should be okay. Just need to avoid that bump there, so it'll be sweeping down past here to bridge across. But yeah, let's go with it. Alright, I'm going to drop back in here because we've got the basic line almost laid out. I haven't connected the coal mine, but this area is, as you can see, it's now fully connected and it's looking great and smooth. This is something I loved about the original Transport Fever as well. It's just like, look how smoothly it does this stuff. It's great. But anyway, moving on. Because I'm here to talk about bridges. Now, technically, I don't have to do anything special with bridges. I could just go, oh look, I want to go over here. And just pop it like that, and then go, hey! Just like that. And we get this low bridge all along the way. But I think that doesn't look quite as nice as it could, because, well, it's so low, and it doesn't matter because it's not blocking shipping. So that's what the yellow tiles are. It's an obstruction to shipping lines, so this wouldn't allow boats to go under it and things like that. But I want to make sure I'm in the habit of allowing that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this, I'm going to override the automatic height adjust and set it like that and see how well it does getting out onto the water. I want it high enough to allow boats to get through, which it starts to about there. So it allows it about there. Okay. So if I go back to here and tell it to use earthworks, what does it do? It It is more expensive. Okay. Got to keep an eye on cost, of course. But I don't... I'm willing to pay that extra 10,000 there, so I'll do that. So that is now a track going upwards. It will slow down my trains. But it is starting to get a nice arc height for this, which I will say is... Oh, look at that odd thing it's doing with the texture there. There we go. That is a good enough height for it, so leave it at that. And I'll do the same with this side here. So again, pull it. It's still overriding the thing. Pull that back. And I'll tell it to do it as far as there. Then let it go until it allows height, which this one starts at a slightly higher contour line, so it does it pretty much immediately. That'll be the final height, and just hook it up like that, and we get a 90-mile-an-hour slightly curved bridge out of it. Slightly curved. Oh, I see. It's because I curved the bridge ever so slightly by mistake when I was doing that. That's okay. Just have to curve it a little bit better, that's all. Like that. Yeah, that's going in the right direction. There we go. Plenty of passing spots for boats to get through, if I was to build any, which I won't. And we got ourselves a bridge. Huzzah! Oop, zoomed out and lagged a little bit, but yeah. Here we go. All we need now is to continue with the bells and whistles for this line, to at least get this thing rolling. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn back on automatic adjust. Slightly upwards, it says. Okay, I'll take it to there. Nice smooth curve. And a nice smooth curve. There we go, we've got the 4 stations we want to set in. I'll just go ahead with passing points now. And I'll show you that when it's done, and don't worry, I'll also talk about why that's important as well. So, see you in a few moments. Alright, this is the last passing point just going in now. Anyone who's watched the channel for a while knows that I do, well, have done in the past a whole bunch of transport games, like Machinki comes to mind. I've sometimes showed OpenTTD. I've even showed the original Transport Fever off once. So, yeah, it is a kind of a running theme a little bit. But Passing Point is a system included which allows you to run multiple trains safely on a train track, because it blocks it off to safe places for the trains to be in. And I've spread a few of these out along here, just enough to make sure that things run smoothly. They're closer together over here because this is a bit more of an uphill section, while this one is more level, so they're a bit more spaced out. And it's also a precursor to a full dual line track, which is the plan. It's just that it's also more expensive to install, especially on that bridge. So I'm going to avoid doing that. And over here we'll install a depot for it. Beep, 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 beep. There we go. Beep. We have a depot. So we've got ourselves a track. We've got ourselves a place where our trains can be brought into this world. We've got all the stations. Next up is the line. And this is where we're going to be a little bit tricksy. So, new line, line 1. We'll tell it to go to here. Then go to this one over here. Then go to here. And then do this one over here. So as you can see, at either end, the train will offload, then it'll go to the next pickup point and go to the other end of the thing. So this is where things get a little bit tricky here, because the thing is, this requires the same resource as the other one. So the coal is needed here and here. So some of the coal taken here will be taken up here, then carried all the way back through to here, and I want to avoid that. So, I think it is this one, filters. Yep, that's the one. And I will tell it at Station 4, you cannot unload coal on this line. So that means any coal on this line is always going to be going to Station 2. And then I'll also do the same at the other one, Creditor North, and tell it you can only unload coal, you can't unload iron ore. So there we go. Jolly good, jolly good. So that's that. Next up though is, I think I should probably explain why I've done it this way. Like, I've got a primary resource going into a industry, and I'm not doing anything with the industry. Like, I've got the resource, I could be making steel and send that to somewhere else, like steel's needed over here. And that'll be okay, because I'll get paid for delivery, and then the game doesn't show you this, but it acts like, hey, we managed to get the rest of the stuff without your help, and so it'll use up the resources and things. It's just we won't get any product out of it. Thing is though, the primary resource to a refined resource stage always goes on a 2-to-1 ratio. So 2 coal and 2 iron ore goes into 1. So that's why. If I could just have the train pick up stuff and move it back if it was the same cargo type, but it would always be half the capacity, so that's why I'm trying to focus on having things running as full as I can get them, especially this early on. So let's go with this. What kind of track have we got? We have got a mostly flat track with a couple of sloped sections, so got to bear that in mind. We can only get the D13, which is a weak little engine, 40 kilometers an hour, top speed, some power to it, but not that much tractive effort, and it just does whatever it does. Admittedly, the Japanese vehicle set does have a slightly better engine that can go 45 kilometers an hour to start out, but no, this one does 40. So, buy that. And our cargo. This is what I mentioned earlier about cargo types. So, it shares a whole bunch of cargo types on a certain type of wagon. In this case, ores, stone, and wheat all use the gondola. And I'm going to start adding to that. Now the thing is, I want a decent sized train. That's first off, but I don't want it to be too slow when it hits medium slopes, which we do have some of in the middle of the track and at either end. So we can just look at this and it tells us how well it does and how long it takes to get the acceleration up to full speed. 20, let's go for 40. Like that. It says it's mediocre, but it's lost like a third of its speed on a medium grade. So let's go ahead and add in an extra locomotive, like so. And that gets it back up to 29 kilometers an hour, going up a steady slope. So, not too bad. Well, it's the same because I've doubled the cargo and doubled the engines, of course it is. But we need to tweak this engine a little bit further now, so this is the other reason why I haven't gone for a double track. Money. Trains are an expensive investment, and I can get access to another $5 million to get started with that, but this train track needs to be paying for itself, so it's got to be efficient. 1.6 million to buy that. I'll assign it to line 1 immediately, so it's automatically on the line, but it's not balanced yet. What's its rate? 21 rate, and that's the big thing I'm looking at. How quickly it moves cargo through the line. 21. I've got to bear in mind 400 output on these, but these places accept 200 each, so that means I can get a full resource flow on this of 200. And then that line will be saturated until the industries upgrade, and then I can increase the number. But to upgrade them, I have to fully supply them and export from them as well, so that's a bit further off. But if I look at line 1, I can take this train and edit it. I don't want to get rid of an engine, I want to get rid of a cargo. And now its frequency is down to 19, which is a bit too low. So my ideal for this thing right now is I decided I'm going to go for 20. Actually, what would 25 look like? It added like 2 per, so 2, 4, 6. 25 on that engine. Okay, that's good. That's good. And what does it do though? On the slopes it does 26, so a little bit slower. It's a little bit slower on acceleration, but it will do the job. And it does 25. So that means I can populate this with 8 trains, and then I would need to be looking for more resources. So that's good. That's good. Thing is though, I need to duplicate this train. So I can only afford 2 more because the increase of cost pushed it up to like about 1.7 to 1.8 million per train. So I've only got 3 trains rolling around right now, but that's okay. Yeah, 1.886 per vehicle on that. That's good. That's good though. It should work. And here comes my train. Admittedly, there is a little bit of slope there coming out of the depot, which is less than ideal, but the train is still accelerating, and it is going to Stafford North. Which one's that one? Oh, it's going straight for the coal, that train. The game automatically tries to space things as it launches things as well, so it's like train 2 is also going to Stafford North, actually, so never mind. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but as I said, the lines themselves are a bit more forgiving in general. But now that it's past the point where there's options, it's going somewhere else. And actually, no, it's not. Mainly, probably because there's no signals between here and here, but once this thing gets onto here, that train should roll out, as I understand it. But as it is, 48 coal is being moved very gracefully. And yep, here comes the next train. So yeah, there we go. By the way, I will be spending a fair bit of time on high gain speed, especially early on, because these trains are just so slow. So I mean, if I go to normal speed, it's like this. So it's going to take a while to get anywhere. But on the other hand, though, if I look like this, maybe try and get a thumbnail. Look at me trying to get a thumbnail. Oh dear. Yeah, you can see this game looks very nice, and that's one of the reasons why we want to play into it a bit more. That said though, running costs, we have already burned through half of our positive balance so far, and we've not made any money yet. There goes train 2. Train 3 will be launching shortly. I really need to improve this area of track, don't I? Thank you, autosave. Which is actually pretty quick. But yeah, we won't get any money until this train arrives at its destination, which is up. All the way up here. So, this is taking a while. Even though I said that I was keeping this track relatively short to keep the turnaround okay in terms of speed, it's still taking a bit. We've already burned up half of what was left on top of that, almost, so... yeah, running costs is a real threat. But the game looks so beautiful though, look at that. Lovely. Here comes the train, going to arrive in the station. This is my first payment. It literally cost me $800,000 and, well, $850,000 almost to get here, but this is our first payoff. $803,000. Nice. So that's the distance and relative speed there, because the train maintained 40 for almost the entire way, honestly. I think the only bit it'll slow down is like around here. That's train 3? Okay, where's train 2? Train 2 is currently making its way up this section here. I say up, this area is actually flat, the train didn't lose any speed at all, so yeah, but it's going to stop here and then run up to that section, so dual lining will improve performance. Also in the meantime we have 280 odd iron ore waiting. There's no penalty by the way for letting stuff go to waste, it's just it's profit that you don't get, that's the trade-off for it. Now, of course, the problem is now that this train is probably going to have to wait while train 3 comes along, depending on where train 3 is. Yep, train 3 is in the shared section. But train 2 is about to hit with 400 still in the bank. 1.2. Haha! We're making money. Trains pass each other, and off they go. Jolly good show, chaps. Jolly good show. Yes. Now, one thing of note, though, is the raw resource production doesn't actually upgrade, so there's no expansion on it. Though, as I said, like the processing industries do upgrade based on how well you provide service to them. So yeah, let's go. I think we won't get enough from this delivery to buy a new train, so we're going to have to wait until the vehicles get to the other end of the track for that. Which means you also get to see how well this train copes with the slightly steeper tracks on the other end. So if you watch it going up on the bridge, it has enough momentum on it, and yes, this game does count weight of cargo in momentum, that it only loses 5 km an hour before it starts to go back down the slope and regain it again. So yeah, that's handling really well. Yeah, the slope over here is a bit worse. It's slowed down to 29 briefly there, but it's hovering around 30, 27, 26, 25. This is probably the steepest bit here, just because of the sudden drop in grade coming out of the station. But yeah, it's still decent enough. It can still get through pretty quickly. It'll be slightly slower than the other journey though, but it still earns 890,000. So yeah, it's a slightly further distance. I think, is it closer? Not really. So I'm not sure why that earned slightly better, but it did earn better though, which is important because it means line 1 copy. Hey, look, we've got a 4th train on the track now. They've got to bear in mind the stated throughput rate of the line will be affected by trains having to stop and start at these waiting points. So ideally that's something I should iron out to get trains acting more reliably on their route. So that's something that needs to be upgraded. Get this thing flowing more efficiently. Off you go, Mr. Coal Train. In debt slightly, but money. We are at net negative though, but that's because I'm buying expensive trains. It can't be helped. Wait a sec, are you? Yep, you are loaded with coal. For a moment I thought you left without any coal, so I was like, what's going on? I think honestly the next thing I should do is like get this, buy one more train, then get this track double tracked to let them function more reliably. That sounds like a plan. Train number 5. Alright. Both the trains heading towards the iron ore station just delivered, and here comes another one right off the bat. But as you can see, it's starting to get a bit congested already, so this is why I said another train, because they are expensive, and then let's get some double tracking going on, just to stop them from having to wait like this. Because, you know, that's kind of a bad idea. Plus there's the fact that I could put 8 trains for the rated throughput on this place, but it wouldn't flow very smoothly at all because they'd have to keep stopping and starting all the time. In particular over here that would hurt because it means they lose the momentum when they're trying to go up the hill. If they stop there and then go up, because that happened in one of the cuts actually. A train stopped here and then it had to come up here, and it was struggling to get above like 20 because it had no momentum bringing it up this section here. that slowed it down a bit and reduced how much money it got. So, you know, more efficient track is better. Yeah, let's go ahead and start with some of this. It will give us a warning, in all honesty, because look at that, see? I deliberately set these signals so that they are one-way only. By default, the game is a little bit more forgiving and says, if there's no other way, your train can go through this place backwards, and it'll just go the route it needs to go. But I decided not to do that, just because I know I'm working on a one-way system at the moment. So I'm just going ahead and... Something's okay, there's no problems. It needs to be another couple of signals in the section. I think 2 should be good. Yeah, so one about here. And then one about here. And then I'm just going to do this to make things a lot smoother. I'll leave the bridge out, but I will be double tracking basically the rest of it. I've also got to make sure not to do it while there's trains on the sections of track in the middle, so I don't accidentally send them the wrong direction. Aye, there we'll go. That'll do it. That'll do it. So I've gone ahead and did what I said, which is double tracked the entire length, excluding the bridge, because bridge expensive. Not quite able to afford that just yet. But this will allow the trains to operate more smoothly, maintain their speed and momentum, and also gives the track a much higher capacity for trains in general, so we can put more trains in here without any problems as well. So, thing of note is this one here is connected only on this side of the train tracks, because the way the route flows, it doesn't actually require things to come up here and then turn around. I have just accidentally set a bunch of signals to two-way rather than one-way. Doesn't matter that much, but I'm just going to switch some back over just to make sure that it doesn't have a problem. Yes. Yes. I'll get the rest off camera. But the reason it was in two-way mode is because I redid this part over here. This one of note is that there's track crossings here, because it needs to connect from there to that coal mine and then back over here onto this side of the tracks. So that can't be helped, but it shouldn't be too bad, and it'll only tie up these bits. Admittedly, I could do something more complicated to avoid that completely, and I will. It's just that it needs bridges and things, and so it's more expensive to do. Got to remember, this is also basically on the side of a hill too, so terrain contours will also affect the cost of doing that. But this is why I had it on double two-direction, just the connections to the train depot over here. Crosses over, double-tracked, separated off, all that jazz, and all working pretty well. Yep, you're doing 28, so you haven't been slowed down at all, but this is why I was playing the game on a higher speed. It's just like, they are really slow at the start. Really, really slow. Puff, 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 off. Up you go, up you go. And of course, single station points, but we'll be working on that as we go forwards. That's if you guys want to see more of this game. And that's the thing I'm wondering, and that's my big question for this, because that's the end of this episode. We're past the half-hour mark, so this is where I tend to wrap my videos. Do you guys want to see more of this? Do you want to see me continue to develop this region in the name of profit and exploitation and all that good stuff? Oh yeah, look at that, much better. Perfect timing on those two actually as well. Nice. Yeah, do you want to see more of this? Do you want to see more Transport Fever? Have I done okay with the editing here? Because I took a leaf out of Dyson Sphere program second launch, where I'm doing a bunch of cuts to help smooth things along. So just give me whatever feedback you care to throw my way, honestly. That's what I'm wanting. Oh hey, we're ready for another train now. Cool. Another train, please. Ding. 6 trains out of a possible 8, and then we'll need to look at doing expansions. So yeah, this track is doing really well. Not bad considering we're only in July. So yeah. June, July, so yeah, about 6 months-ish, 7 months. And we're already turning a decent profit with our first track. But yeah. Anything else is going to have to wait for another time, I'm afraid. So, this has been Mark 3. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. And yeah, I made this up so it's a little siding so a train can get off the main line and wait while the station's being used, and then just head back out again. So that's why there's extra signals on there. But yeah, see you all later. Goodbye, coal train.